Yesterday we experienced two terrible attacks. The first was an attack on innocent children. The second, an attack on our society and the rule of law.
So, is the naturalised migrant attacking children not an attack on the rule of law and a part of Irish society?
Each attack brought shame to our society and disgrace to those involved, and incredible pain to those caught up in the violence. As Taoiseach, I want to say to a nation that is unsettled and afraid, this is not who we are, this is not who we want to be, and this is not who we will ever be.
I agree. No civilized society should tolerate violent attacks on innocent civilians, especially little kids.
Yesterday afternoon, innocent children were attacked outside the Gael in Dublin city centre. It was a horrifying act of violence, and our thoughts are with the injured children, their heroic care assistant who threw herself in harm's way to protect them, and with all those who risked their lives to save lives. They're real Irish heroes, whatever their nationality, Irish, British and Italian. Our thoughts are also with the doctors and nurses in our city who are trying to save the lives of those who are injured. Many of them come from abroad. And our thoughts and prayers are with a nation united in shock. Yesterday evening, some people decided that the best way to respond to this terrible attack was to take to the streets of Dublin and try to terrify, intimidate, loot and destroy.
People should definitely have the right to be furious when you maintain an open border policy that enables potentially dangerous immigrants to commit crimes.
Their first reaction to a 5-year-old child being stabbed was to burn our city, attack its businesses and assault our Gardaí. As a result of their actions, buses and trams were set on fire, innocent passers-by were intimidated, and pregnant women in Rotunda Hospital were made feel unsafe and in danger.
I completely agree with him on this point. Destroying property and wreaking havoc on the streets just for the sake of it is not going to solve a single problem. A new pro-Irish government would probably address the issue of migrant crimes.
These people claim to be defending Irish citizens, yet they put in danger the newest and most vulnerable and most innocent people. Those involved brought shame on Dublin, brought shame on Ireland, and brought shame on their families and themselves. These criminals did not do what they did because they love Ireland. They did not do what they did because they wanted to protect Irish people. They did not do it out of any sense of patriotism, however warped. They did so because they're filled with hate. They love violence, they love chaos, and they love causing pain to others. Looting a shop was more important to them than protecting the lives of our children, and they disrupted a Garda investigation that was underway.
There was not a single casualty during the riot. Obviously, it was not primarily about bringing violence to somebody.
The Gardaí gained control of our streets last night within a few hours, and I want to thank them for that and for the risks that they took. I want to pay tribute to our Gardaí, particularly those who answered the call from all over the country who came to Dublin within a few hours. As a country, we need to reclaim Ireland. We need to take it away from the cowards who hide behind masks and try to terrify us with their violence. We need to reclaim Ireland from the unscrupulous who prey on the fears of those easily led into darkness. And we need to reclaim Ireland from the criminals who seek any excuse to unleash horror on our streets. This morning as Taoiseach, I promise we will use the full resources of the law, the full machinery of the state, to punish those involved in yesterday's grotesque events, and will put in place measures to ensure that any repeat attempts will meet the full measure of the law. I spoke with the Minister for Justice and the Garda Commissioner last night and met the Garda Commissioner this morning. We have sufficient Gardaí and there are more in training. We have sufficient equipment and there is more on the way. We have strong laws and the Garda Commissioner is free to use the Public Order Act over the weekend as is required. We will pass new laws in the coming weeks to enable the Gardaí to make better use of the CCT evidence they collected yesterday. And also we will modernise our laws against incitement to hatred and hatred in general, and that is more required than ever was the case before, and we will do that in weeks as well.
Wow. Instead of addressing people's frustration over the emerging migration crisis and its long-term negative consequences, he threatens the rioters with more serious sanctions and repressions. As a Prime Minister, he is putting his country in the oven without realizing it. Or maybe he does realize it. I do not know.
To all those cowardly champions of Ireland who took to the streets of Dublin last night, let me say one thing. Ask your sisters, ask your friends, ask everyone you know what they fear most on our streets. They're afraid of you, afraid of your anger and your rage, afraid of your violence, your hate, and how you blame others for your problems.
All civilized people should be afraid of violence, rage, hate, bigotry. But should the Irish not also be afraid that their country might turn into a France or Germany within a single generation? I would absolutely be afraid of that.
As a government, we will be relentless in protecting our citizens and defending our people. The Gardaí will be on the streets in large numbers and will do whatever it takes to fight back waves of ignorance and criminality. The Minister for Justice will coordinate with the Commissioner to ensure we never witness such terrible scenes as the 23rd of November 2023 ever again.
Turning Ireland into a police state while quote-unquote inviting tens of thousands of immigrants primarily from undeveloped countries each year will result in a prosperous, progressive society. I'm sure of that.
Being Irish means more than saluting the tricolour, beating your chest and pointing to where you were born. It means living up to the ideals represented by our flag. It means being true to our own history, and it means acting with compassion for others. And today I call on us all to remember who we really are, because we're better than this, and it's time we came together and reminded others who claim to speak for us about what our country really stands for.
I would like to add a few things here. Being Irish at first is actually ethnically belonging to the nation. You are not going to be Irish even if you possess the citizenship of Ireland, and in my opinion, any person with self-respect would really not mind that. Being a governor means that you are not importing problems to your country and opposing yourself with your people. Being a citizen of a country means defending it from threats by any means and hand when necessary. And this individual certainly does not realize or even care about the fact that mass immigration on such a catastrophic scale is basically destroying the country from within. If I were Irish, I would be really worried about such a response from the Prime Minister. Thank you for watching this video. If you have found it to be interesting and informative, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. Until next time.
One thing I strongly agree with the Deputy on is the need to set a target to have a number of people from ethnic minorities in areas of the public service. We have a health service that's very diverse, although less so as you go up towards the senior positions, not so much in the Gardaí, not so much in the Defence Forces, not so much in the education sector, as the Deputy mentioned, not at all in the civil service, which is very white, including the Department of Equality, for example. And that actually needs to change. So we need to have, I think, a target for people who come from ethnic minority backgrounds, but also dedicated recruitment campaigns to encourage people, because we do need a generation of young people growing up in Ireland who are people of colour to see black and brown school principals, judges, Cian Corla perhaps in the future. Who knows? Visibility and opportunity is really important.